Hello. So I'm going to talk about clicks to conversions, the science of e-commerce growth. I'll skip through this really quickly because we're a bit short on time, but I'm Will Laurenson, founder of Customers Who Click. I spent 9 years in-house, so managing 6-7 figure budgets. I've I've done the ads, I've done the emails, and where I settled on was CRO. I spent 3 years running my own fantasy football business, which was traumatic. Especially, in fact, seeing the DraftKings logo as I came from the airport was not a good memory. 5 years of Customers Who Click, and our average clients get about $125,000 monthly revenue uplift, 12% AOV, 90% conversion rate. We've generated about 30 million in incremental revenue. And 230 plus episodes and about 400,000 downloads on the podcast over the last 5 years. And just some of the brands that we have been working with recently. So getting into it. Clicks are easy. So driving traffic to a website is still pretty easy these days, even with Facebook doing what Facebook does. But conversions are obviously where the money lies. So the problem we see at the moment is obviously most brands are leaking money. Good at driving traffic. Ads perform okay, again, good click-through rates still. But the website is the thing that's only just keeping you going. Right? If the website's not converting, you're not making money, not really making much money off your ads. So what's the point? So a common e-commerce funnel will look something like this. We'll see generally around 33 to 48% of sessions to a website will view a product. 2 to 6% of that traffic will then add to cart. 41% will start checkout, and about 50% will complete checkout from there. So basically, less than half the traffic that you pay to send to a website is actually viewing a product in the first place. And if it doesn't view a product, it can't buy a product. So this is roughly where we view benchmarks. So we want to try and get brands to 65% product views, 12% add to cart, 45 start checkout, 55 complete checkout. There's always going to be people who drop off at various stages for various reasons. They're window shopping, they clicked on the ad for the wrong reason, whatever. This is where people focus their time, on the checkout. It's always, we've got people to check out, we need more people to buy. Yeah, it makes absolute sense, but on the average brand, it's only a 9% uplift on start checkout and 4% uplift on complete checkout for them to actually be at benchmark. Whereas on the product views and add to cart rate, that's where the big uplifts are. So that's where the big opportunity is to just drive more traffic into that funnel. And if you're already getting 41% starting checkout, 50% completing checkout, then if you can get 35% more people viewing a product in the first place, you're going to make loads more money just with that change. So CRO, the science behind e-com growth. So we have our methodology, which was mentioned earlier, the UAM method, which we kind of turned into a bit of a formula recently. Basically, over the last 5 years doing it as an agency plus in-house, every test and change that we make to a website falls into 3 categories. And so that's where this formula has come from. So we've got growth equals usability times motivation minus anxiety. I'll just let people take a picture. And just before I get into what those are, I think the real key thing to talk about is the fact that CRO is not just changing button colors or the placement of a button or little UX UI changes like that, which don't really move the needle. It's about unlocking growth your brand has already paid for. Right? CRO is not a marketing channel. It doesn't drive traffic. So it's there to make sure that when you are paying for that traffic to come to a website, you are converting it and you are making money. So we start with usability, which is, can I do the thing? So for the most part, we are talking about conversions. We want people to buy products. But really, this is anything that the user or customer has come to your website to do, can they do it? So if they want to reach out to customer service, if they want to return a product, if they want to view your store locations, whatever it is, can they do that as easily as possible? And then obviously, we want to focus on PDPs, checking out, and things like that. So here's a kind of test that we've run a few times for furniture brands, and it works really well for brands that have a lot of product options and a lot of variance in those options. So what we found is that On the left-hand side is the kind of before version where you've got everything laid out on the page. Everything is clickable. You can see all the options there, and there's just loads going on the page. And what we found is that by turning these into drop-downs instead, not only do we condense the page, you get more information on the page, there's more above the fold in the first place, but it kind of becomes this step-by-step process for people instead. So instead of just a wall of information, we're actually now guiding them through a process of configuring their product and helping them buy it. Then we've got anxiety, which is what do I need to know about the thing? So these are generally the questions and concerns that people have about your products and about your business. So product-wise, it would be, what's it made of? What's the material? What are the ingredients if it's edible? What size is it? Dimensions, weight, all that sort of thing. If it's shoes, it's generally shoe size. And then there's questions about the business as well. If people have never bought from you, who are you? Why should I trust you? Who else trusts you? What does that person need to know in order to make that purchase from you? So this is kind of more feature-led, functional. It's just the information people want to know. And so this is a test we ran for the Ocean Bowl. And basically, we just wanted to, we found out through customer research that people had questions about the bottle. There was no information on the page, really, about how much water it held, how long it would retain the temperature, whether it was hot or cold, dimensions of it. People wanted to know the weight, which is actually something I hadn't really considered. And then we also had some information about, leak-proof seal, double opening. There's also one of the ones below is dishwasher safe, and things like that. So people just wanted this functional information, and they wanted to make it really easy to find, which I haven't done very well with this screenshot, but if you look on your right-hand side, where it says e-tie, that's actually like view details. So we just added a call to action quite high up the page, which just allowed people to find this information really easily. And then finally, we've got motivation, which really is the most important part in this. This is why should I do the thing? So if people have they've found your product, so if they're looking for, I always use the example of a standing desk, because I was buying one when I thought all this through. What do you want to know about the standing desk? So you've got to find it on the website, so you've got navigation, search, whatever. Then on the anxiety side, it's the information. So what's the desk made of? What color is it? What mechanism does it use to raise and lower the desk? Does it have any kind of stands and things for hanging things on? And how much weight can it hold? That's all the functional thing. That's the anxiety piece. So the motivation piece is then why would I actually buy this thing, right? I can buy a standing desk from a dozen different companies. What is it that makes me want to buy your standing desk from your brand? And that's where the motivation piece comes in. And another example I always use is True Classic. Right? True Classic sells plain T-shirts. Right? That's it, really. You can buy these T-shirts on Amazon for probably $5 each, or you can buy them from True Classic for $25. So all their marketing ties into why is their product better. Right? On the website, you'll find information about sizing and standard things like that. But everything they do, all the videos on their website, all the videos in their advertising focuses on why these T-shirts are going to be better for you than the $5 ones. And that's why they're I think about a $400 million a year brand now. So I think a key thing that I want to get into is also conversion rate CRO. We don't really view it as conversion rate optimization. It doesn't really make sense, especially in e-commerce, right? On the B2B side, it does. You want to get demos, you want sign-ups, you want leads, that sort of thing. Conversion rate makes sense. For e-commerce, it doesn't, because if we increase conversion rate, other metrics might be impacted negatively. So we view it as customer revenue optimization. So what are all the things we can do across a website that will make you more money? And whether that is done by increasing the amount of money people spend or increasing the number of people who spend money, but also potentially decreasing your costs of doing various things. So coming back to that funnel earlier, this is what we look at on a daily basis with our clients. We rarely look at the actual conversion rate of the website, because if it's Black Friday, conversion rate goes through the roof. After Black Friday, it plummets. Absolutely nothing to do with what's happened on the website. If a brand suddenly sends a load of TikTok traffic to a website, conversion rate's going to come down, etc. You get the point. So we're always looking at can we increase the number of people who view a product? So if you increase that by 15%, you make more money. If we can then increase the number of people who add to cart, again, more money. Start checkout, complete checkout, and AOV. In theory, if you increase all these by 15%, you should double your revenue. Doesn't obviously happen like that exactly in real life, but that's the kind of process and outlook that we have on things. If we just want to increase these individual metrics, that should then increase your conversion rate, increase the amount of money you make. And yeah, just an example I wanted to show with Space Goods, which is a brand that I buy from. They tick all the boxes on this, really. So even on this product page, actually kind of these 3 bullet points in the middle there are kind of the UAM method there. So you've got in the middle, you've got drink with water or milk, hot or cold. So you're dealing with the usability of the product itself. You've got the anxiety piece, so 0 jitters, anxiety, or crash. So the reason people buy this is because they don't want coffee and caffeine, which makes them crash. And then you've got support, focus, energy, and mental performance, which is the motivation piece. That's the desired outcome. What do people want to achieve from this? And then they've just massively, I don't know if it's a loss leader for them, but they give you everything possible with their starter bundle in order to get you to try and convert to that instead of their standard subscription. They want you to take the bundle, so they want you to pay £39 down from 120. They give you all the free stuff because they know, and I know, if I use that whisk, that scooper, that cup every single day, I'm not going to stop subscribing with them. It's also really tasty. Not the coffee one, the chocolate one. But the real value after all that, and I know the real value everyone really wants is the money, but the real value in CRO comes from the understanding, not just the results of each individual test. So bad CRO is testing button colors. It's focusing just on UI changes, just moving stuff around or changing colors and fonts and things like that. Checklists and best practices and not really understanding why you're doing things and just running through lists and doing it. Lack of customer research and a failure to iterate, which I'll get onto in a sec. Because good CRO involves messaging hierarchy, focusing on the customer mindset. So who are the people landing on your website? What information might they want? So if they're from Google, they're obviously a different intent to people from Meta, from TikTok. You've got problem-based testing, customer research-backed, and learning and iteration. So the key thing for learning and iteration is what we don't want to do is just run a test, see the result, and move on. Because if that test is a losing test, you've just wasted time and money running a test on a website, and you've got nothing. So if you're learning, the idea is to learn and iterate from everything. So we want to run a test, we want to get a positive result, we want to make more money, but really, one of the big benefits of CRO is looking at it and saying, OK, we tested adding some videos to a product page. That had an improvement in conversion rate. Therefore, people respond to video content. Let's do more with that. Let's run advertisements with it. Let's get it in the product gallery. Let's test it elsewhere. It gives you direction, things to do next, and that's the iteration. So whether it's a losing or winning test, you need to be learning from this and thinking, what can we do better next time? How do we actually make more money from this? So customers don't just buy products, right? They're always buying them to solve a problem, which is that motivation piece I talked about earlier. It's what's the pain point that they're trying to solve, or the desired outcome that they want to achieve with a product. So while most brands are talking about features, which is the anxiety piece, this is the size of it, the weight of it, the price, and all that sort of stuff. The brands that convert the best are speaking to the why. Like, why do people actually want these products, and therefore convincing them to buy them? And then it's understanding the why now, also behind a purchase, which unlocks the conversion. So people will always, you can sell products to people. The people are always looking for these things. But if you can find out why they want to buy them and what triggers it, you get that in your messaging and your ads, you get more people to the website. If you're then focusing on the website, you get more conversions. So it's really about price and specs. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot with surveys and questionnaires and things is closed-end questions which have price as an answer. because I can guarantee price will get probably 50, 60% of results if that is one of the options in a multiple choice. Because people just, it's the easy pick. It's the one that people see and go, yeah, price was too high. Really, it's about the problem they're trying to solve. They did not see that with your product and on your website, and so they left, right? So they're not seeing how this product's going to solve a problem for them, or they're not seeing the outcome that they're hoping to achieve with it. And CRO, coming back to the kind of iteration and learning piece, so CRO is basically customer research at scale. So again, obviously, we want to run positive tests. We want to get improvements on the website and generate more money. But again, like the key thing is then we're learning from each test. We're seeing whether, if a test has a 1% improvement in conversion rate and revenue, that's still a very different result to one that's got an 8%, because that 8% tells us people reacted really well to this test, so we should do more with it. Whereas a 1%, you might say, okay, fine, let's have a look at our priorities and see what we can do next. So we use a lot of insights from surveys, reviews, on-site behavior, customer service tickets, things like that. Uncover, what the pain points are, what the outcomes your customers want to achieve, and then really focus on-site testing and changes on those. So test solutions that highlight those points, and then again, iterate, educate. Sorry, what I mean by educate there is educate customers, educate internal team as well. A big part of CRO, again, the learning is those tests and learnings from your CRO program should also be fed into email marketing, PPC, paid media. They can learn from it. It can feed into your product team, your fulfillment team. There's always stuff you can learn that can be fed into other areas of a business to either make you more money or save you more money. And then, evidence-based testing, which is a really important bit. So how to decide what to test. One of the biggest questions we get is, brands have loads of ideas, which is great, but they just don't know where to start and how much impact they're going to get from these things. So always start with a problem statement. So this is just, we found a particular issue. What do we think it is and why? So it'll be something like, users are landing on this page. They don't add items to cart. So from the funnel that I showed you earlier, you'd identify that your add to cart is low. You'd then combine heat map data, so products like Microsoft Clarity, Hotjar, things like that, with customer surveys to find out why people aren't adding to cart. So you might find that people can't find a certain bit of information, or no one clicks on the image gallery for some reason. Then you move to a hypothesis, which is your kind of testable assumption, which will look something like, if we make this change, then this result will happen because, and then you reason it with your data and insights. So we do this with every single test that we run with a client, and I'd recommend doing it with pretty much every change you're going to make. So whether it's a change to a website, a test, a new ad campaign, a new email, whatever it is, whatever you're looking to do, it's worth running it through a problem statement, a hypothesis, because this is going to help you just kind of decide, are we actually doing this for a good reason, or is it because we've just said we just want to redesign our website because it's old, which is painful to hear. So prioritizing tests, so follow the evidence. So we've got, has it come from customer research? Is the problem evident in the clicks? So again, that's the heat maps and things, where are people clicking, what they're doing? And then, does it fit into the UAM framework? Because I need to plug that again. And then, if you want, I've got a free download on this horrifically designed slide. We put together a prioritization GPT. Basically there's a Google sheet that we use with our clients, and we're scoring against 13 different questions to decide how impactful a test should be, or a change. And this is helping us prioritize the tests that we run for our clients. We basically put this together as a GPT, so you'll be able to kick off the GPT. It'll ask you all these questions. If you say no to any of them, it'll kind of prompt you and suggest that you get on with it and do it. And if you, at the end, it will give you a score. It'll tell you whether it's low, medium, high impact. And also, it will then ask you if you want to discuss that test or change and make some improvements to it. So it kind of guides you through that process as well. And then, if you've got any questions, reach out to me. If you want a copy of that GPT, again, just connect with me on LinkedIn, drop me a message, and listen to the podcast.